Okay, so today I'm going to talk a little bit more about the relationship, right? So we can just start from a family member first, and then we can go to for the topic of co-workers, or even friends, right? So we're gonna have like three topics for today. The first one is that we can talk about family. Second, we can talk about co-worker, or even the third one is that we can talk about friends. So let's get started with a family member first. So imagine that if you have to respond the answer from cue card speaking part two, which is really important for you, that you have to say something, or those people who you are really admired for, right? For example, like if we can talk about our family members, so there can be a different number of questions, right? For example, like we can see that sometime, like if we just choose for like mom and dad, or even brother sister, or the brother or the sister, or younger brother or younger sister, right? Siblings, everything. So we just focus on, so for my first talk is that we have to talk about a little bit more about the way that we can improve our speaking, especially for part two, that is really important for all of us, right? So basically, I just wanna give some technique for all of you here. The first thing is that we have to make sure that we got everything in order. For example, like we can see that if the topic that we have to list and talk is all about like describe someone you really admire for, especially for your family members, or even some kind of like other people that is related to you or closely related to you. This is really, really important just because we have to make sure that we got a five question first, which are WH questions, right? The first one is that who or what. So basically, this is kind of relative clause, which is really important for all of us to understand, right? Just because when we talk about person, when we talk about thing, this is might be an important part that we have to describe someone by using a relative clause instead of it, right? And anyway, um, after we describe someone, right, and then we have to make sure that how they or he or she can impact to you. So this is really important that we have to explain by illustrating, or even describing that the characteristic, or even the character of that person. For example, like you have to use for some adjective, you have to use for some like describe someone, right? In order. So this is really important for you if you have to describe a person in that time. And next one is that we have to make sure that what is the reason why that we have to choose this person to talk to. Just because for part two, especially for speaking, I have to say that you have to make sure that that person can impact to you in what way. This is really important for those test taker who can manage their speaking to be better. Just because I do believe that as an English teacher here, I have to see that a number of people, right? A number of students can, um, you know, can plan beforehand. This is really important just because when it comes to speaking, we have to plan beforehand. We have to plan before we speak. So this is really important. So again, right, just because WH question, who and what, when and why, and how. How does it impact to you? Something like that. So we have described something here. Yep. All right. So this is might be an example. So first of all, I think that if I can talk about, so today I'm going to talk a little bit more about the way the person that I really admire for. First of all, I think that the person that I really admire for would go for my father, who is really admirable, sympathetic, and gentle. Um, the reason that I just choose my father to be my my admirable person, just because I think that he is one of the most important in my life. He is a good leader, and his trait and personality is quite charming. This has brought me to have any attention for those people, for our family members that can follow for. That is the reason why that we are going to talk a little bit more about the characters and characteristic of that people. I have to say that my father might be the one who I really admire for, just because he is really hard work. He is a person that never give up, and then he is the one who is influence other people in that way. That is the reason I have to say that I just look up him to be a good leader in my life, and I think that he is my hero in my journey อ่าโอเคประมาณนี้นะครับอ่าใครเข้ามาแล้วนะฮะกดไลค์กดแชร์ได้เลยนะครับ